Okay, so good day, everyone. I welcome you to our presentation on the fascinating topic of guiding emotions. So today we'll explore various aspects of emotional expression and communication across different mediums and cultures. So our thesis question is, how do diverse forms of communication, from body language to public speaking, art, and visual media, contribute to our understanding and guidance of emotions in human interaction? So this key message or thesis ties together all of our individual projects by highlighting the common thread of guiding emotions and emotional expression, and also interpretation across different communicative mediums. And it also empathizes the multi-faced nature of emotional guidance, touching on nonverbal cues, formal communication, artistic expression, and lastly, also practical application of emotional intelligence.
So to begin, I will share some important insights on body language, drawing on a TED Talk from Lynn Franklin.
I will then analyze public speaking technique that is very popular in political speeches or the election campaign right now in the USA.
And then I will explore the intersection of art and emotion, particularly how certain artistic from certain cultures can convey emotions.
Finally, I will talk about emotional intelligence in the form of a short stop-motion video based on a book by Daniel Goleman.
So what I did to gather more knowledge on body language, especially on how to effectively use it in a communication, I began with reading articles and passages from books revolving around body language, as well as looking on content provided on Moodle. And it goes without saying that with this topic, I then began to spectate the people around me, and how they act and to use body language to communicate. Further, I also paid attention to people in TV shows or other occasions. I then started looking for videos on YouTube as well, because I wanted some more visual input to learn from, as it is important to have visual examples for body language. And lastly, I decided to then create a poster with the most helpful insight I have found on body language. So what really made me understand this last point, that having visual examples is important, was an amazing TED Talk by Lynn Franklin, who is a persuasion expert. And the TED Talk is called Reading Minds Through Body Language. And she delves deeper into the power of non-verbal communication there, and how understanding body language can enhance our interactions and relationships by showing us three models as an example. So yeah, according to Franklin, there are three different types of body language. The first one being the looker. Their brain thinks in pictures and images. They are a visual communicator. They use a lot of gestures and they maintain good eye contact. They have a very animated facial expression. And the lookers are about 75% of people. The next type being the listener. Their brain thinks in words and sounds. They are a very auditory communicator. They focus on sounds. They are very attentive to the tone, the pitch, and the rhythm of speech, and they make about 20% of people. And the last type being the toucher. Their brain thinks and processes information in feelings and tactily. They like physical touch, for example, leaning in and touching an arm. And they make only 5% of people. So yeah, by analyzing the body language of others and your own, and making use of it, you can become very persuasive, and you can build rapport with others just through your body language. So you can identify someone's preferred communication style by observing their body language and listening to the language patterns. And you then can improve a communication by adapting to those different body language styles, and therefore enhance your ability to communicate effectively. You can apply your insights in various settings, such as personal relationships, professional environments, and public speaking, which leads to better understanding, better collaboration, and influence. So yeah, overall, Franklin shows the significance of body language in communication and provides practical advice on how to read and respond nonverbal cues to improve communication.
Thank you. During the semester, I analyzed different election periods in the USA, especially the 2016 and the ongoing campaign of 2024. During the process, I've noticed the heavy use of the political dog whistle, a concept that was only mentioned to me during conversations without ever discussing its wider implications. This led into more or less a rabbit hole for me. I've researched other election cycles to find hidden messages or political dog whistles, and I was astonished. Bush, Clinton, Reagan, Trump, and many others used the dog whistle during different times to achieve different goals. Because of that, I wanted to talk about this often used communication strategy. To do this, I've consulted the book Dog Whistle Politics: How Coded Racial Appeals Have Reinvented Racism and Wrecked the Middle Class, and the two articles Dog Whistle Politics: The Trump Administration Influence on Hate Crimes, and Populism as Dog Whistle Politics: Elite Discourse and Sentiments Towards Minority Groups. I hope my essay will be as enjoyable to read as my descent through the rabbit hole of dog whistling was for me. But to start, dog whistling is a metaphor that describes a coded language used to disguise the speaker's real agenda. The strength of the dog whistle is its ambiguity. Most people will be able to decipher the code, which is intended. However, by calling the speaker out for the obvious racial biases, you make yourself open for an attack by him. But I think to make the whole thing clearer, we need an example. And I think we can start by one who has probably the biggest impact on the political dog whistle, Ronald Reagan. The president from the Republican Party used often to talk about welfare queens driving Cadillacs or buying T-bone steaks with food stamps. These stories are obviously ridiculous, but served as a racially motivated bait to support his anti-welfare budget cuts. Reagan always denied any racism and emphasized that he never mentioned race, and he never had to, because the dog whistle worked. Those who wanted to hear the whistle heard the whistle. Ronald Reagan was not the first president to use a dog whistle to speak to the more extreme parts of the white American society, but he was one of the most effective in that. And to answer another question, why is it even necessary to use a dog whistle? And there are two reasons why, especially Republicans in the USA and our right-wing organizations use them. One reason is the reality that the Republicans, for example, rely on the vote of the predominant white voter base. But they had to acknowledge that the core demographic, middle-aged white men, became more and more relevant. In other words, they need the vote of minorities to win elections, while also maintaining the white conservative voter base. For this, the ambiguity of the dog whistle is perfect. They are able to talk about seemingly unrelated topics while still supporting fear-mongering and racial tensions. Furthermore, it is completely unacceptable to be openly racist. In America, the nation as a whole has condemned racism, and all political parties at least claim to be anti-racist. Dog whistling is for that necessary to still reach the more radical parts of white society. Furthermore, there are also many problems with dog whistling. Some seem obvious, but others are not quite as obvious. For one, dog whistling perpetuates the long history of racism in politics and reinforces prejudices against minorities. These attacks are not only directed against racial minorities, but also against members of LGBTQ movements, the poor, women, or members of religious organizations like Jews or people or Islam or the faith of Islam. The use of dog whistle also increases the likelihood of hate incidences. For example, by comparing hate incidences from 2007 to 2017, we can see a significantly a significant decrease in hate incidences during the presidency of Barack Obama. During his presidency, the number fell from 7,800 to 5,400 incidents a year. After he left the White House and was followed by Donald Trump, the incidences once again reached 7,000 per year. This shows that inflammatory rhetoric towards others has a tangible effect on the physical well-being of minorities. Another perhaps less obvious consequence of dog whistling and race baiting is the collapse of cohesion between members of the same social class. More extreme political positions often occur during periods of economic hardship and decline in the standards of living for ordinary people. Fear-mongering among each other destroys the collective bargaining power of a social class. Or in short, the conflict lines are not economic but socially and racially motivated. This can be once again seen in the USA. Years of politics that favored affluent citizens wrecked the middle class. But those economic realities are buried beneath racial tensions and culture wars. Because of that, the dog whistling is not only a problem for the affected minority, but a problem for society as a whole. And please always remember, controlling emotions in other people is power. Don't let your emotions be controlled by others for their purposes. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. So for my individual project of artistic expressions in different cultures, I started by just generally thinking about different cultures, mainly the ones I was interested in or the ones I was surrounded with, for example, with the cultures that my friends had or my own culture. And yeah, so that's why also the ideas really got to me like randomly, which were just random thoughts that I had. And the ideas also stem mainly from my own hobbies and interests, and also like one from my own culture. So yeah, and with like artistic expressions, I'm not limiting myself to just like art in a sense of paintings, but just in a broader sense of artistic expressions. And once I had these ideas, then I of course did more research on them, on their origin, etc. And after I did the research, I also thought about how I could try and explore this. And once I had the material to do that, I tried it myself and in the end documented my products with pictures. So yeah, and in the end, I chose 5 artistic expressions which I wanted to explore myself, which were structured art, a certain type of Turkish coffee, henna art, tribal tattoos, and lastly, one that's like present in all cultures, I would say cooking and baking as an artistic expression. And just why these artistic expressions are so important for guiding emotions and human interaction is just because artistic expressions are able to convey emotions. And where is the ability to convey emotions, there's also the possibility to notice, recognize, and also understand emotions. So it's very important to notice these signs in the artistic expressions and also understand the person, which is especially important for people who are not really able to express themselves directly verbally. And for these people, it's just like an opportunity to express their emotions without having to really talk about it. So it's about understanding others, their emotions, and maybe also their life. And also it's about being considerate of these emotions once you have noticed them, because it is very nice to do and also very important to be considerate of other people, especially when they do make the effort of conveying their emotions to you, may it be through verbally or just verbal cues or non-verbal cues like artistic expressions. And it is also very important not only to understand each other, but also understand yourself, because artistic expressions and art itself is really a way to process your own emotions and deal with your own emotions. And it's just like, for example, with art therapy, it really helps you deal with it. So it's not only important for interaction with each other, but also about yourself, which is just as important. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, I chose the topic emotional intelligence, because developing emotional intelligence can yield numerous benefits in the realms of communication and creativity. Individuals with high emotional intelligence are better equipped to build strong, meaningful connections with others, fostering trust, empathy, and mutual understanding. So in the form of a stop-motion video, my methods are firstly gathering key findings and insights from the book Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ by Gemmel, which I use as a main reference. Then I use those findings to develop a plot, characters, and scenery for a story. Then I create character dialogues using a voice application. And lastly, I developed the filming and editing process with the stop-motion studio application. All I use is Lego products and my phone. So the story is set in an enchanted forest and features 5 animal characters, which are an owl, a squirrel, a sheep, and 2 hedgehogs. The owl guides the other animals through various situations that demonstrate different aspects of emotional intelligence, which are the key findings I found from the book. Firstly is self-awareness, understanding one's own emotions and their impacts. Secondly, self-regulation, managing and controlling one's emotional responses. Thirdly, empathy, understanding and sharing the feelings of the others. Fourthly, social skills, which is effectively navigating social situations and relationships. And lastly, motivation, which is understanding what drives oneself and others. To answer to our group thesis, these emotional intelligence insights contribute to our understanding and guidance of emotions in human interactions by enhancing communication through better understanding of one's own and others' emotions, improving conflict resolution by managing emotional responses and understanding others' perspectives, fostering stronger relationships through empathy and effective social skills, and boosting personal and professional success by leveraging emotional awareness and self-motivation. Lastly, creating more harmonious and productive environments in various settings, such as work environment, home environment, or in a community. So that's it for my individual project part. I'm concluding our presentation. We invite you to consider our thesis question again, which is, how do diverse forms of communication from body language to public speaking, art, and visual media contribute to our understanding and guidance of emotions in human interaction? So throughout our presentations, we have explored various aspects of emotional expression and interpretation. We have seen how nonverbal cues can speak volumes, how public speakers harness the power of emotion, how art serves as a universal emotional language, and how emotional intelligence can be applied in real-life scenarios. These diverse forms of communication are not isolated channels, but rather interconnected pathways that collectively shape our emotional landscape. By understanding and mastering these various methods of expression, we can become more adept at guiding our own emotions and interpreting those of others. So we hope that our presentations have shed some light on the complex and fascinating world of emotional communication, and that you will leave here today with a deeper appreciation of the myriad ways in which we express, interpret, and guide emotions in our daily life and across cultures. Thank you for your attention, and we are very welcome for any questions coming up you may have about our topic, guiding emotions. Thank you.